so it should be fine now.
Cool.
But, like I said, I'm in a fucking awful mood. I'm pissed off at my fucking roommate. Anyways, alright, so this is somewhat of an introduction for Outcast Evolution. Anybody that's been paying attention to Soul Mechanics, we just did a promotional video with a beautiful young lady, Nori, and Holly, who was talking about psychic experiences and whatnot, and that should give an indication for the future, you know, how we conduct the interviews and how we intend to deal with people in general. It is a safe environment for you to explore and you know, discuss experiences and feelings and theories and what have you, and most especially your struggles concerning society and, you know, how you have been perhaps in some ways outcast by modern society. And of course, we have our host now, our beautiful host Amanda Lovely, alias Mandy Leigh, with us. She was sick earlier and was unable to attend, but she is back now.
Yes, sadly, I woke up this morning and was very, very violently ill, but I am feeling better and I'm getting my energy back, so here I am, and I'm so sorry I couldn't join earlier. I had really looked forward to it. I missed everyone. I miss you all, and what was it? Oh yeah, and stay tuned for this coming up Sunday, because we have some really big things going on, and I don't want to say yet, but stay tuned.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and anybody that's interested in doing an interview, please do go ahead and contact me. I will be incessantly bugging all of you about it until you jump aboard. So, what are we talking about here? We want to speak about... I'd like to talk about generally how we intend to what our intentions are for the podcast and what we're hoping for people to share and such.
Do you want to go ahead and go with your questions for me as to what my whole purpose is and so forth, or do you want me to go ahead, or go ahead and do you?
Either way, I mean, because we do want, there's a certain degree of secrecy we want to keep over the further future intentions. So right. I'm not sure what to ask you in that regard. But yeah, okay. So what exactly are you hoping to get out of the podcast in general, concerning the people? What kind of things are you wanting them to talk about, and you know, your attitude towards that in general?
Well, my purpose, without really going into it, my end goal really is to get a TV show going that delves into some things that I'm very passionate about. And again, like Donovan said, we don't want to give too much away. But needless to say, what I can say is that it will be a big deal for changing the world, and it will be a big deal not just for you right now watching, but also for your children growing up and for your children's children and all future generations coming into this world.
Yeah. It's something we want to make quite clear is that, you know, I mean, I don't want to bring a scare factor into it. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but...
No, don't do that.
We're intending to, and we're doing well. Like, we could have been, as I've said before, we could have been in a bad position right now, and things could have gone south for us, you know, as a whole, humanity, as a society. And we're doing pretty well right now, and things are looking up, and, you know, people working with the initiative, whether they know it or not, are all over the world. We are the vast majority of people, you know, all of the communities that are teaching love and whatnot. And I just did that video responding to the girl who was talking about the Antichrist. Did you see that, Mandy?
I did not do that. I did not see that.
Yeah. There was a girl talking about saying that that the Antichrist would come preaching love and light, and that, you know, we should be wary of that. Like, seriously, out there telling people that if people are preaching love and light, we should be afraid of them. It's like, so I had to respond to that, and I was pretty mean. I'm sorry about that, but I could have been a lot meaner, so shit.
She's lucky I didn't put my 2 cents in.
Well, honestly, I've been bugging her ever since I've done several response clips for her, because she says a lot of shit like that. She says that Buddhism is a death cult, and she says that, yoga is demon worship, and lucid dreaming is opening yourself up to demons, and so I've been bugging her ever since I first saw her channel. I've been bugging her saying, you know what, you should do an interview, because, well, I mean, she's got, I don't know what I'd really, that would go south. That'd be a bad, that would go bad.
Well, you know me, and you know that would not be a very good thing, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, I suppose we could say that about the podcast is that, we really, I mean, we want people to share their opinions, voice their ideas, and such. Right. And even if they're religious folk and they want to share, you know, what they think about that, but no hating people, no dividing. That's our rule. Is we're not going to have people, you know, talking about, you know, who's wrong for what reason and why we should hate them. That's not acceptable.
No. But I will say this in terms of some of the statements that you said that girl has made. One of my goals is to stamp out ignorance, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something else that I actually did a response clip. Like I said, I've done several, but I think it was the first or second one I did for her. I pointed out that she was actually being kind of cruel to her audience, and she was like naysaying them. As some of them said that I practiced lucid dreaming and it was helpful to me, and she would say, no, that's Satan disguised as an angel of light. And so I pointed this out, and I said that's not cool. You can't tell your audience, no, you're wrong because the Bible says so. And so she went ahead and she took the whole video down. First, she tried just deleting my comments, then I made the response clip, and she actually deleted the video. So it's like she knows what I said, and yet that ignorance remains. She refuses to acknowledge that, you know, there's...
And doesn't the Bible say that...
Doesn't the Bible say what?
I said, doesn't the Bible say, judge not lest ye be judged?
Yeah, I know. I actually pulled one out when she started saying in this last video that all the presidential candidates are just puppets on strings, and I said, would you like to cast the second and third stones as well? So, have fun with it. I'm not trying to be mean to her, but I mean, that's...
No, look, I will even go so far as to say this. I know some people who are Christian and things like that, who are very good and loving people, and they don't judge others. So, you cannot love people who are of a faith, together, all bad people who judge because they're not. But it's just that they have misconceptions, and they're not high spiritually yet, and that's okay. They will get there at some point in time. They will achieve the level of spirituality that someone like myself or someone like Donovan has. You know, they'll get to that point, but their souls are relatively new, so they're still learning, but they will get to that point, and you know, a lot of things that are going to be happening in the world will be happening.
Yeah, and we're working to shape a future where that's, you know, like I was saying with Norianne, I was talking about how, you know, we're elevating the consciousness in a manner of speaking, getting people to bridge the gap between here and there, you know, get a greater understanding of what's going on, and we want the entirety of society to have, you know, a larger, more expanded understanding. That would be a part of that shift that everybody's talking about, you know, shifting into a new way of thinking, essentially, and not being divided, not hating people, not shunning people, not demonizing people.
Exactly.
Anyways, I gotta run in the store here, so... We'll cut this part.
Since you're doing that, before we get back into this, the last time we did our interview, when I interviewed you, I asked you just a series of get to know you questions, and since we didn't do this time for questions so that they can get to know you a little bit.
I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. I'm in the store grabbing shit. We'll probably have to cut this part out. It'd be a skip. I mean, obviously, I can't pause it. I don't have the other phone.
Right.
You good? Hang on a second.
Okay.
And I need a, this guy.
Around 30.
Yeah, 42.
That's 20. This a winner?
Yeah, that's a winner for 5. I need, I'm gonna, can I just pay for the ticket with that one, and I'll pay for the rest of the card?
321 for that. 371.
How many?
Yeah, that's Steve.
So I had Adderall right now? I'll be alright.
No, I don't want you to. You were thinking, like, who can I get it from?
I get tattoos.
It's hard to get, man. You gotta have ADHD to get it prescribed, right?
What?
Yeah.
Adderall?
Yeah. I got it prescribed because I have memory problems.
Oh, shit, really?
I forget
Maybe I
things
need
a
to
lot.
take the motherfuckers out because I can't remember shit.
Yeah.
I got CSR.
CSR, what the fuck's that?
Can't remember shit.
Yeah,
Remember shit, right?
I was like that.
Yeah.
You want a copy of your receipt?
Sure.
You mean CRS.
Yeah,
Okay.
CRS.
Thank you very much, madam.
CSR.
Guys, have an excellent night.
I can't remember shit.
Alright, so, I'm sorry, what did you say about the Bible?
No, that's not what I said at all. I was saying that while you're walking home, the last time that we did a live, I asked you a series of questions, general personal questions about you, so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better. Would you like to ask me some so that they can get to know me a little bit better?
Yeah, I'd like to know about...
And then we can get talking about, and then once we get home, then we can get talking about what your goal is.
I was going to ask about, like, you asked me questions about music and shit, like what kind of music do you like, what's your... music, I think, is a very important aspect of, like, everything. Music is like signatures of frequencies that can unlock, like, you can listen to music and it can unlock pieces of your psyche, you know, it can guide you.
Okay, this is gonna be fine. I'm gonna tell him what music I listen to, and then I'm gonna ask him a question, and this is gonna be fun. Okay, so basically, music-wise, I listen to a mixture of Queen, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, the Doors, Black Sabbath, Nirvana, My Chemical Romance. I listen to Janis Joplin. I listen to Janis Joplin, Stevie Nicks, Joan Jett. I listen to Suzi Quatro. So based on my taste in music, what is your assumption of that?
well, assumption.
Yeah.
You're a classic girl. You like not classical, but classic music. I'd say you'd be I mean, I know your attitude, but I'd say you'd be a fun person to hang out with. Kind of maybe a sort of a party girl. Not really a party girl, but you know what I mean. Somebody who knows how to have fun.
Yeah. I tend to attract trouble quite a bit, but
yeah, that would be another one. Is My Chemical Romance. Nirvana.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Nirvana and My Chemical Romance sort of a little bit, is suggestive of more depressive, or not depressive, but
not depressive. Okay, we're
like the Outcast thing, like I don't know how to say it, like rebellious.
Yeah. That's definitely where I get that from. Kurt Cobain is a very big inspiration for me, as you already know that Freddie Mercury is as well.
Yeah.
If I had to say 5 really deep inspirations for me that really formed me into how I am now, I would definitely say Freddie Mercury, Elton John, Bob Dylan, Kurt Cobain, and who else? Oh, definitely John Lennon.
Yeah. As I said before, some of my favorite bands were like Evanescence and Live. And the way that I feel about music, like when I listen to their music, and I don't listen to the classics a lot. I used to, so I didn't really have this attitude when I did. But once I developed that attitude where the world is speaking to me, and I'm paying attention to what the world is saying, then it's like I listen to these songs. I listen to songs by Amy Leigh or by Ed Kowalczyk, and I hear them, speaking as though it's like I want to say
like a message.
Yeah, it's a message like through reality, like through the whole of reality. It's like something speaking to you from outside of the world. You know what I mean?
Right. So what else would you like to ask?
What's your favorite kind of pastimes? What do you like to do? Maybe exercise-wise, or not like sports-wise, but kind of sports-wise.
Well, I'm not a very athletic-y person. I have been trying, emphasis on trying to learn how to do yoga and meditate and stuff like that. Because I have ADD, I'm working on that, but it's not easy, but it's something I'm working on. Hobby-wise, I guess I would say I love reading. I love going outdoors and going on adventures. No maps or anything. I just kind of love to go where I just am drawn to go. I like to watch old films. I love going into vintage shops and trying to find old vintage things. I love collecting records and things like that, for sure.
That's cool. My hobbies usually would have been writing and, like I said, collecting and building things, making stuff, but now it's just pretty much all my time is taken up by what I do here on the internet, and I love it. It's like the best. It's like I have in my hand a whole, a remote control for the entirety of the world. Like, I don't need pieces of things anymore. It's all right here in this phone, and I can build things with people instead of objects. It's beautiful. So that became my hobby. That's what I love is working with people and getting things organized and situated.
So I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot, and this is for fun here. Tell the people some good qualities of me, and tell the people some bad qualities of me.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, hold on, let me get my Bluetooth. I said I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here.
I heard that.
I said, so tell the people some good qualities about me, and tell the people some bad qualities about me.
You're just generally an awesome person. You're delightful. You have a good attitude. You're into things that interest me, so that's a personal, thing. And you,
Yeah.
she wants to do right for the world and help out in the world. And she's a beautiful young lady, of course. And poor qualities, impatience, bitching at me. That's about it. And the whole being testy thing. I think that's we need to. We want to be accepting of people. If people do come on, anybody that's afraid of we want to talk about abilities that you have, extra normal abilities that you have, and if you're iffy about it or you don't know about it, you're not secure in yourself, that's okay. Or
that's fine, as long as you're genuine and you're not simply saying that you have abilities just to have 5 seconds of fame, and you're not saying that you have abilities just to get a following, because that would make me look bad, and that would make the community that I wish to represent bad. I would not allow that to happen.
Crap. We're gonna have that feedback again. I'm coming in. I can't get around it.
So now that you're back home, we don't make this take too long. So why don't you go ahead and tell them about your mission with this podcast?
Well, really, I want to bring people together, build a greater community.
Yeah.
I want everybody to, and I'm obviously my primary goal here, for me personally, is looking into the theories that I have and trying to discern where things line up, investigate extra normal happenstances from a scientific perspective, but what most people would call a pseudoscience, where they don't think that it's real or whatnot. Well, it's a logic science. It's a hypothetical science. And, I'm going to say if 6 out of 10 people experience something, there's a good chance it's true. If they experience the same thing, then there's a pretty high probability that that's the case. So I mean, experiences are evidence, and stories and shit are evidence. So like, I look into theology, I look into religion, I look into the other traditions, and their stories. If I see 3 or 4 different cultures around the world telling the same story, I'm gonna go ahead and presume it's probably true. Like, I'm not gonna discount things because I don't know who's saying that it couldn't have happened. It did. A lot of these things did happen. So basically, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say what my ultimate overall goal is. I'll go ahead and I will. I don't want to, but really, I have problems with ignorance. I have problems with people, naysaying each other, putting each other down, and I want to prove certain things right. I want to prove certain things wrong, but only really in the case where it's like the ignorance factor, where it's ignoring something, dismissing something. I want to show people that that's not the right way to do it.
Right.
I guess kind of like bully myself around. I want to be a dickhead.
Is there anything else that you would like to add? Because I know, like you said, you don't want to make this one too long. So is there anything to the audience you'd like to add in terms of anything remainder you would like for them to know that you're trying to do?
Well, we are trying to find build representatives from communities. That's one goal for me. And I'd like to promote all of our works. There like Norian Holly, she has her own channel that she plans to get going soon. I'd like to help promote that. I'd like to help promote mine. Soul Mechanics, I'd like to get going. I'd like to... What? I'd like to promote everybody's works. I'd like to get everybody up and flying. I'd like to see everybody shine. And everybody get up and make a difference and all be together.
Exactly. So yes, please, if you can bring anything to the table to help him with his goals, or if you can bring anything to the table to help me with my goals, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am on Facebook as well as Instagram. My Instagram is mermaidheart23. And my Facebook is, if you follow Donovan, you should know it's Mandy Leigh. And Donovan does follow me. So you can reach out to me and DM me if you have the proper connections that can help me get this going, that would be willing to work with me and get the ball rolling, so to speak.
Yeah, we are seeking people that can help with maybe finding potential investors, finding people that know how to work with copyright dealing and legal issues.
Right, definitely investors first and foremost, as well as, like he said, the copyright thing, as well as major networks here in America, as well as international networks all across the world. If you're connected with anybody like that would want to talk and help get this rolling, reach out to him or I. Like I said, I gave you my Instagram. Again, I'll say it again. My Instagram is mermaidheart23. Donovan does follow me, so if you follow Donovan, then you can just find me on his friend list.
Yeah, mine's going to be dtucker213 on Instagram, and Twitter is Mechanical Soul under Donovan Neal 6, I think.
Right. So, yes, please reach out to us, and let's get this going and let's get this rolling. And we love you, and we'll always be here for you guys, and we send our love and support. Keep being positive, keep spreading love, and always make sure to be kind to others.
Yeah, be kind. Actually, make a habit of that. Go ahead and be kind to somebody right now, and then, later on do it again. And maybe in the morning do it. And, if you're out and about, maybe you go to work, go ahead and do it there, too.
Yeah.
Always.
All right, we love you guys. We love you guys. And, Donovan, is there anything else you would like to say before we finish this out?
Yes, but I actually forgot, so. Anybody that has anything else that they want to talk about aside from external abilities and such, just experiences or anything, I'm looking to do interviews for Soul Mechanics as well, and especially regarding sexuality, as I think I mentioned this before. If anybody's in the stuff like Tantra, or anybody deals with relationship issues, anything having to do with sexuality, especially gender issues, stuff like that. If you feel like you've been suppressed or oppressed, being with perhaps transgender or sexuality concerning like homosexuality or anything like that, I'm running a sexuality course on Soul Mechanics that is really, I want it to primarily be interviews. I don't really have a lot to say regarding that, so.
All right. Like I said earlier, Donovan loves you. I love you. Again, if you have the connections, even if you don't directly, if you know someone who does, that would be willing to invest and has the business connections that we're looking for, particularly international. I am looking for someone, especially in the China area, and I will leave it at that without giving too much away. That's as much as I can say. for legal purposes. As Donovan can back me up on that, I don't want to say too much. So, yes, please reach out to me, Mermaid Heart 53. And Donovan, do you want to say your Instagram again?
The Instagram is dtucker213. The Twitter is Mechanical Soul. But I would also like to say, just really quick, for anybody that does have experiences of that sort and wants to get on the podcast, we may not be big right now, but you can help us get big. And when it happens, you'll be a part of what made it. So
Right.
jump aboard and help out. Let's all work together here.
Right. Again, we love you guys. We will talk to you soon.
Good night.
Bye. All right, Donovan, how was that?
Next time on Soul Mechanics. Alright, so immediately, first thing, what we have is Satan, with his hand on the puppet strings, which that's Satan. Obviously, there's an S on the ring that's representing Satan. The hand is red. It's a traditional red devil suit. Suit, referring to cards, bringing us to the tarot, and inference to archetypes. That's going to be a particularly important thing to keep in mind, archetypes. The devil is an archetype. It exists, and it was made use of thereby in creating Satan, which Satan's going to sit at the foremost. It's going to be something that exists beforehand. But Satan did not actually exist originally in the original text. It was made up later by the Catholics as a kind of a boogeyman in the closet, as I've said, as though, as if this God that was present wasn't, terrifying enough with him, deciding to nuke cities because there's too much sex in it, where in fact it was that God that told man to go forth and multiply, pretty much nailing it into the mind of humanity that, hey, you guys need to get out there and fuck. But, if there's too much fucking in one place, kind of compacted, I might decide to go ahead and kill everybody. And do not engage in anal, which that has nothing to do with it. The Sodom and Gomorrah story, there is absolutely nothing to indicate, nothing whatsoever to indicate that it had anything to do with homosexuality, which is a big deal for the Christians. They're going to walk around carrying signs that say God hates gays because of the Sodom and Gomorrah story. Nothing. There is not a shred of evidence to suggest that city was destroyed because of homosexuality or even sex, really. It was these people had, just from what we can tell, a really, really poor life ethic. You could say that they were hurting each other. They were criminals everywhere. The city was trashy. It really, sex could have been a small part of it, but it wasn't, in fact, the catalyst there. Now, again, and it was God that told man to go forth and multiply. It was God that pretty much, that's the only given directive for mankind, period, is get out there and fucking have sex with each other. But, then it's proposed that God's going to nuke a city, and yes, that there's, in the story, and the results of the story, especially the woman, Lot's wife, becoming a pillar of salt because she stopped and looked back, there's indication therein that it was in fact nuclear weapons in play. And there is radiation in the area. You can go around those areas and there's going to be radiation in the environment indicating that yes, atomic or nuclear weapons were used at some point. So, obviously we didn't have the A-bomb back then, but somebody did. So anyways, this is going to be an indicator as to how values operate, and this is an inference to spot casting. This is particularly how it works. The devil archetype already exists. That's fundamental. That's a catalyst event in the human psyche. The devil is an archetype. So they take Lucifer and they make up this idea that he transformed into Satan, I guess, after Michael defeated him, or maybe it was, I can't remember exactly how he became Satan. It might have been at the fall when he was cast out of heaven. I think he was renamed Satan, which is just total fucking bunk. Like, bunk. And anybody who believes that shit, the Christians out there who believe that shit, especially this young lady, which I'm going to give layers to this. There's going to be layers. There's going to be the video as it exists, just what it's presenting, and the values in play. There's going to be my interpretation. There's going to be Hacking the Headlines girl's interpretation, and there's going to be the actual interpretation of the creator, the person who made the video. And his interpretation pretty much lines up with mine, but we'll get to that, except that there's certain things he missed. I'd like to put, forth the consideration that as creators, and I can say this being an author myself, it's often we make things, we create things that we don't really know what we're saying with it, but it's speaking. There are values in play. There are things that work is speaking to us and to the rest of the world that we did not really intend for it to, but it does. And so yeah, that there's a consideration that there are values speaking from this this creation that the creator did not actually have in mind. That in and of itself is the indicator that it is in fact conscious, that it's consciousness, that the work itself is alive and speaking, that there is life in it. Even the fictitious works has life in it. And I can say that personally from my writing, my characters, I give them a personality, I give them a skill set, I give them a value system, and they live. They go and they make their own decisions. I don't decide what's going to happen in advance aside from major events, but the way that the characters react to them and what happens because of that, that's their decision. Those characters are alive in my mind. They're living lives. Now, they make Lucifer Satan, which we have Lucifer already as pegged as a bad guy. There's propaganda everywhere to suggest that Lucifer is a deceiver, where in fact Lucifer never really, all Lucifer did was help us. Like, Lucifer didn't deceive anybody, but God, the God character, deceives people left and right. So, what we have there is a very human suggestion, but again, it's like a hypnotic suggestion here that there's a Satan character, and then what we do is we associate Satan to the snake in the Garden of Eden, where in fact there is absolutely nothing whatsoever to suggest that snake has anything to do with Satan. I've been over this before. There is absolutely no association whatsoever that could be made. But the Catholics, they went ahead and they said, well, that's Satan deceiving Eve, and so that's the proof that Satan is a deceiver, where in fact Satan's not real. Lucifer never deceived anyone, and the snake in the Garden of Eden is just a fucking snake. It was initially meant to represent the Kundalini and the innate power of intelligence itself. The snake originally represented knowledge and the activation and the the innate drive. It represented the vital impulse in the person and the striving for intelligence and wisdom. So that's what the snake was meant to represent, and it was meant to naysay the elder traditions' considerations and pretty much disassociate people from the elder traditions and from their true innate heritage and their real power, the Kundalini impulse, which is two snakes, by the way, and we still have that in the medical cross thing with the snakes climbing up it and the rod with the snakes climbing up it. That's representative of the Kundalini. That's why it is the medical symbol. And it has wings because it's freeing, it's uplifting, it's enlightening. So that's snuck through. Again, that's a value that's in play, that's speaking its truth, and hidden in plain sight. But that snake has nothing to do with Satan, but we make that association, we put that in play, and what that does is it establishes Satan as an origin point. It places Satan in the origin. And so now, for the most part, most people are going to have this idea in play that Satan's behind everything. Satan's pulling the strings because it's a trick. It's like a hypnotic suggestion that Satan is somehow behind everything because Satan deceived Eve in the garden and begat the whole tragedy, this whole tragic story of humanity, where in fact that's just a total nonsense, and none of that ever happened at all. It's a hallucination. It's a very clever trick that's got most people fucking canned.